Hey everyone, thanks Scott and Jamie. I'm Kathy Sullivan, Program Manager on the .NET team.
Hi, I'm Sananda. I'm a software engineer on the .NET team that helps customers move to .NET 6.
Yeah, and we're super excited that you're all joining us today to learn how you can upgrade your .NET Framework apps to .NET 6. So first we're going to do a recap of some of the highlights for why you should consider upgrading to .NET 6. And then we're going to take you through the typical workflow that we see many of our customers use when they're approaching their upgrades. And we'll introduce you to some of the tooling that will help you more confidently upgrade your apps to .NET 6. And along the way, we'll also share some tips and tricks. So let's get started. Nice. So for those of you who were watching the keynote earlier, you heard members of our .NET team talk about what's new in .NET 6. And .NET 6 completes the unification of the SDK, base libraries, and runtime. And so now with one SDK instead of libraries and runtime, it's easier for you to build for and target multiple platforms. .NET 6 brings so many performance improvements, as I'm sure you've been hearing a lot of, in the runtime and at build time, along with C# language improvements and productivity enhancements like hot reload. And for desktop apps like Windows Forms and WPF, you can take advantage of self-contained single file executables so you don't need .NET Framework on the machine. And .NET 6 is a long-term support release. You might also hear it referred to as LTS, and that means you get 3 years of patches and free support during this time. Sorry. And also, as we said before, you don't have to move to .NET Framework, so you may decide that staying on .NET Framework is best for some of your apps, or you might not be able to move at this time. And if that's the case, we want to also reiterate that we'll be shipping an update for .NET Framework that will add support for ARM64 and also bring along some enhancements to accessibility and other security and reliability improvements. So now let's jump into the typical workflow for upgrading apps to .NET 6, and we'll take a look at some of the upgrade tools and docs that are ready for you to try with your apps. So here we have at a high level, we have our typical workflow you can use to get an understanding of the steps and the work involved in upgrading to .NET 6. So the first step is preparation. And this will help you get a sense of the dependencies that are being used in your projects and solution. And dependencies are everything from NuGet packages to loose binaries, front-end dependencies, and .NET Framework APIs that you're using in your projects. And so as you see here, there's 2 tools that can help you better understand the changes to your dependencies. And so the first tool we have is the .NET Upgrade Assistant, as you may have heard about earlier today. The Upgrade Assistant supports both analyzing a solution and its dependencies, and it also helps with some of the heavy lifting in the actual upgrade itself by automating a lot of those steps. So by using Analyze in the Upgrade Assistant, which is something that we released very recently, you'll get an understanding of the changes that are going to be made to your projects and your solutions. And Sananda is going to show you this one in just a minute. And the second tool we have listed here is the .NET Portability Analyzer. We also call it API Port. And this tool helps you analyze the assemblies and provides a detailed report of the .NET APIs that are missing for the application or libraries that need to be upgraded in the .NET platform that you want to target. And you can either download API Port inside Visual Studio as a Visual Studio extension, or you can run it as a command line tool. And it also generates a visualization in Visual Studio of the dependencies for your solution, which is super helpful if you have a lot of projects within your solution. And this step right here is actually completely optional. You can run either of these tools in any order. It really just depends on what you want to understand before starting your upgrade. So the next step is actually doing the upgrade and upgrading your code using the .NET Upgrade Assistant. And as we mentioned, we released the Upgrade Assistant back in February this year. And since then, we've added a lot more support for different app types and analyzers that will automatically help you fix up your code. It supports .NET 6 now, and it's had over 40,000 downloads. And Sananda is going to demo this tool for you in just a minute. And the third step is to head back to Visual Studio and attempt to build your solution. So the Upgrade Assistant doesn't do everything for you, and it's not intended to completely migrate your .NET Framework apps to .NET 6. So you're very likely going to need to update code in your app and identify parts that might not be supported in .NET 6. And it's also a good idea to check NuGet packages that might have been updated for any potentially breaking changes as well. And lastly, there might be changes that aren't apparent until runtime, so you'll want to test that everything works as expected. And this is also a good time to move those unit test projects over as well. There we go. So you might be wondering, what code and dependencies can you reuse, or what will you have to rewrite? And so there's a lot you can reuse here, from your existing business logic to a lot of third-party dependencies. And for code and project types that you see under the right column here, under the rewrite column, you'll find in our docs, we'll have recommendations and alternatives on how you can move forward from these. And so now Sananda is going to take you through how you can use the Upgrade Assistant, and she's going to show you some demos of that. Take it away, Sananda.
Thanks, Kathy. Hello, everyone. As Kathy mentioned in the typical workflow slide, there are tools available that can help with the upgrade journey from .NET Framework to .NET 6. One of them is Upgrade Assistant, which is what we're going to take a deeper look today. Before I demo the tool, to provide an overview, .NET Upgrade Assistant is an open source .NET SDK command line tool that helps by automating away boilerplate repetitive steps that are needed for upgrading to newer versions of .NET, like moving to SDK style project, changing packages.config to use package reference, upgrading packages to a version that is compatible with .NET 6, and provide a mechanism to do automated source updates where possible. So the customers can focus on the interesting part of the upgrade that is specific to their business and code base. Upgrade Assistant currently supports upgrading class libraries, console apps, ASP.NET, MVC, and Web API projects, WinForms, and WPF projects. The tool works with either C#, that is CS proj, or VB. You can use a VB proj. There are two primary usage scenarios in Upgrade Assistant, like Kathy mentioned, upgrade and analyze. Analyze is like a pre-upgrade analysis to understand the dependencies that needs to be resolved in order to move to .NET 6. Whereas upgrade provides guided step-by-step click stop in making automated changes to the project. So we talked about what is supported. Let's quickly touch upon what is not supported. So the unsupported app types like web form, server-side WCF remoting, as mentioned before, fall into the rewrite category. So Upgrade Assistant will not be able to provide automated source upgrade in these scenarios. All right, let's now see some demos. All right, so Upgrade Assistant, as I mentioned, it's an SDK tool. So installing it would be .NET tool install. So I already have it installed. So let's quickly look at the different commands that you can use. Analyze and upgrade, as we mentioned, and the parameter that is passed for these commands is a path to the project that you would like to analyze or upgrade, or a solution as well. I'll get to a bit in the extensions command. Let's quickly look at the options that you can provide along with your command. Let's upgrade. All right, so as I mentioned, the required parameter to pass is the project path. Let's say you pass a solution which has multiple projects, then the entry point option is required so that Upgrade Assistant will know where to start. So Upgrade Assistant can use that as a starting point to provide you with an ordered list of projects needed for upgrade. All right, so the next one is target TFM support. The values that it takes is current, LTS, or preview. This is, you can provide this if you want to provide which TFM you want to move to. For .NET 6, it's in a unique situation because it is an LTS release and it is current and there is no other previews. So all three of this value point to .NET 6 currently. But when .NET 7 preview comes out, then preview will help you move to .NET 7. All right, this is an interesting one. The ignore unsupported feature is, as I mentioned before, for example, web forms. If you want to upgrade a web form project and you would like to let Upgrade Assistant try what it can do, then providing the option of ignore unsupported features will let Upgrade Assistant do what it can, likely upgrades to the project files and possibly even the package version upgrades. The last but not the least that I want to touch upon is non-interactive mode. So upgrade is a click stop way of upgrading from framework to app. And if you have like a smaller project and you would like to not do 15 different click stops to get to the upgrade, then providing a non-interactive would be the way to go. All right, so now let's do an analyze. Create assistant. Analyze. So I'm using a sample WinForms application here, and I have made sure that I use a bunch of unsupported or deprecated controls to see how to demo how analyze command will light that up. Notice how I have not provided a target DFM because I want to go with default. In this case, that would be .NET 6. So the first would be the package analysis, where Analyze will light up saying that you're using a deprecated package and provides me a link of where I can go to get more details. That ran fast. All right, so the diagnostics that is generated for the code that is being used, it specifies that I am using a bunch of deprecated controls. For example, main menu is deprecated and I need to move to menu strip, and then it provides me with a link where I can go to get more details. So the other kind of diagnostics that is generated in the analysis result is general purpose warnings that you can provide to users. For example, in this case, high DPI mode setting needs to be set in main method instead of app.config or app.manifest. So when we get to the demo for upgrade, I'll show you how upgrade assistant does this automatically, adds this setting automatically in your main method. So apart from generating the analyze result in the console, we also generate analysis report that gets stored on disk in Serif format. Now, there are multiple ways of viewing the Serif log. For a richer experience, we recommend using an extension in VS 2022 for viewing the Serif log. So let me quickly show the extension. It's the Microsoft Serif Viewer 2022. So once you have the extension installed, it shows up under your tools menu saying open static analysis results as Serif. So I'm going to open up the report that we just generated. And the interesting thing is it shows up as warnings, similar to how your build errors and warnings will show up, which means that it also specifies which file the specific diagnostic was generated and what line number it was generated. So when you double click on it, it'll take you to the line where it was thrown, and you can go ahead and make the edit there. So now I want to quickly show examples of other app types. Like, let me start with the WPF one. The interesting thing here for this report is that this was generated for a solution with multiple projects. So if you look at it, it displays the package analysis for each of the projects that was analyzed. I want to show interesting package analysis diagnostic that was generated. Like for in this case, mahabs.metro needs to be upgraded across major versions, which may introduce breaking changes. So this is a way of letting users know that some of the package upgrades could leave them in a broken state. So that's an interesting diagnostic to look at. Let me open another one real quick before I move on to the upgrade. This is an ASP.NET one. So it's going to give us the nice warnings on don't use system web or Oven. And then it'll take you to the place where you can make the edit for that. I want to show a real quick one where it shows how you can move to the newer version as well. In this case, for example, here, ASP.NET needs to move to ASP.NET Core, and here's a documentation that you can use. HTML helper needs to be replaced with the core equivalent of it. All right, so moving on to upgrade. So I'm going to show the upgrade for WinForms application as well. So this is an eShop sample application. And this is an instance where Upgrade Assistant will not upgrade completely. What happened there? Sorry. There you go. All right. So again, I'm not providing a TFM, target TFM, because I want to use the default one, which is .NET 6 in this instance. All right, and I did not provide an entry point because I directly gave a project file and not a solution with multiple projects. The first step is to back up your project. This is not mandatory, but it's recommended if you want to revert something and you want to go back to what it was before. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and use the default path that is specified. So it'll back it up in the right location. The next step is to move the project file to an SDK style. Let's go ahead and do that. While it's doing, let me quickly open up the project file in Visual Studio so we can have a quick view of it. All right, so it's opening. All right, so since it moved to SDK style, let me quickly show how it looks like. So now it has moved it to the SDK style. Notice that the target framework is still pointing to net 4.8. The TFM has not changed yet. All right, so next step is to clean up any NuGet package references for the current TFM, which is net 4.8 in this instance. Let's go ahead and do that. All right, that's done. So up until now, nothing major has changed. All it has done is upgraded the style of your project file and cleaned up NuGet references. So it'll build and run fine like it did before. So now let's go ahead and update the TFM to 6 and update NuGet package references for the current TFM, which would be 6 in this instance. All right. All right, now comes the interesting part. So now we're going to do some source updates to the WinForms project. The first one here is a warning that is provided to the customers, and this does not do source update. This is just to tell customers that default font has been changed, and an FYI warning. Please go ahead and read more in the blog post. So this is the part that I wanted to show where this is going to add the automated high DPI mode setting to the code. So it says high DPI mode is not present in the main method. I'm going to go ahead and add it. So let me quickly show that. I'm back to the WinForms program. And it has added application.set high DPI mode to system aware, which is the default if nothing is provided. Going back. All right. That's done. So now this is the place where I want to show how Upgrade Assistant will provide you information where Upgrade Assistant cannot automated source update, and it will provide you with information for next steps, what you can do. In this case, system.service model is not supported in .NET 6, and it provides you with information on how you can move forward here. That's the upgrade, and now there's nothing left for Upgrade Assistant to do. And since it's a single project, there's moving to next project is a no op. If you have solution with multiple projects, then it'll move you to the next project in the ordered upgrade. All right, so now Upgrade Assistant is like, I'm all done. I have nothing else to do. Let's go ahead and finalize the upgrade. All done. So there is a high chance that the project will not build or run. So in the essence of time, I would like to do a quick demo of what extensions means. So what is an extension? Basically, we looked at the upgrade demo, it had multiple steps and multiple analyzers and source updaters. So if you have custom steps or analyzers, code fixers, or source updaters that you would like to execute along with Upgrade Assistant, then creating an extension would be the way to go. Let me show a quick example of one of the extensions that we created in the Upgrade Assistant team. This is an extension for analyzing loose assemblies. Basically, if you're referencing a binary directly in your solution, you would like to know where does this binary exist? Does it exist in a NuGet package? If so, then can I add it to my project file. So the way to go ahead and add your extension is once you have your extension, then publish it as an upkeg and then upgrade assistant extensions add and then provide the name of your extension. Then it'll add you to your upgrade assistant. So then you can go ahead and use upgrade or analyze mode just like we demoed right now, upgrade assistant and upgrade and provide the project path, and then along with the default extensions, your custom extension will also execute. That's all the demo I had. Back to Kathy.
Cool. Thanks, Sananda. So we kind of wanted to close out here with sharing a list of resources and tools for you. We've got some docs, we've got ebooks. There's even samples on this slide. I see where you can walk through example upgrades to get comfortable with the tooling and some of the manual changes that you might need to make. And then also we've got links to the upgrade assistant and to the API portability analyzers too. And so moving on, like your feedback is super important to us so we can continue to make our tooling and our docs and our ebooks even better. So we'd love for you to try out the tool on your own apps and share your thoughts with us. The GitHub repo link here should be there in just a second on the next slide. We're open for contributions in the repo. So if there's analyzers that you find are missing, or like Sananda showed us, you want to take a stab at writing an extension for something specific in your own business or your own apps, contribute them back into the repo so that others can benefit from them. And of course, if you find an issue or you need help, the repo is the best place to log that issue or to get help from us and the team here. So can we show that next slide so we can get the repo link up there, the feedback slide? Oh yeah, sorry. There we go. Sorry, hold on. There we go. Yeah. So here's the repo link. Sorry about that. And so with that, I think we've got a couple minutes for any questions. But thanks for joining us today, and happy upgrading to .NET 6.
Very cool. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time, and thanks for coming to us remotely like that. I've got actually a couple of questions before we go into the Twitter, folks. Certainly folks on Twitter can tweet us at hashtag .NETConf, and we'll put your questions up and we'll get them out to the team. But Kathy, you actually helped me take my little video game for my kids called Baby Smash and convert it into a modern .NET application. The baby is now learning to drive stick shift, to give you a sense of how old this application is. And we see the wizards, and we see you going through the upgrade assistant, and it seems like there's a balance that you're trying to play between, you don't want to hide stuff, so it's like, but then you also want to make it easy. How do you find that balance between, like, we edited this line of this XML file deep in the beast versus, giving them, hiding information from them?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think we did that pretty well through how we show our logging in the app. So there's if you go to the repo, you can see the different levels of logging that you can see. So you can see the simple output, or you can go all the way down to the very verbose settings there. And so that should help you kind of, if you just want to run a quick app through and you just want to get a sense of how it works, definitely go with the basic logging. But if you're definitely working on something that's mission critical or super important for you and your work, definitely do the verbose logging, even though it's a lot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And is it true that all of the stuff that the tool is doing, they are steps that a person, theoretically some robot who knew what they were doing, I could open all these files up, I could edit all these kind of things, but what you're doing also is confirming that it's going to do a good thing, it's not going to break anything, you're making steps that they're not necessarily destructive. How do I make sure that I'm not going to hurt my application while I upgrade my application?
Yeah, I think Sananda mentioned the backup step was optional. I'd recommend you do it. I'd also recommend that if you're using if you're the app you're picking, make sure it's in source control, if you can, before you touch it. That way you've got something that works and backup, as we all know. So take the backup.
Yeah, that worked out really well with
you
the Baby
can also
Smash.
come back
sorry,
to
Sananda.
the step. Sorry.
Oh,
So you can also come back, you can stop at any step and you can always come back to it later. So that way, if you want to just do everything before you update to TFM, for example, and then you want to merge that in and then come back later and update the TFM. So that way you can stagger the pain that you will go through. Let's put it that way.
Stagger the pain.
Yes, want it to last longer.
I can relate to that. Moving an 18-year-old .NET application forward, I was amazed at how it was made possible, and not only just backing up things, but making a separate .NET 6 or .NET 5 branch, and then doing the work on that branch allowed me to go with my Baby Smash game that you can see on GitHub, as well as a great blog post that Kathy did. You can see like afterwards how it still works, and then I get all the great benefits of being on that new modern framework. I get a great installer. I can actually turn it all into one single executable with the self-contained executables. And now people are even talking about maybe converting into Maui and making it work on phones and stuff like that, which would be really cool.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that'd be really cool.
Last question is, when you've got a huge application, but not necessarily the structures and the references, but it's doing stuff like talking to the registry or doing Windows-specific things, and it's not just the migration to the modern framework that you want to do, but you want to maybe also move it to Linux or a different operating system. Do you catch stuff like that I'm calling a Windows-only API?
Not yet.
yeah. It's a great idea. Yeah. There's so much more. Yeah. Go ahead, Sananda. Yeah.
We do have it in our backlog to have ability to determine that this is cross-plat. We don't have that yet, but it's in our backlog. We'll get there.
Very cool. That'd be nice to see. Got a question from the chat here.
Yeah, sure. Can we use the .NET Upgrade Assistant on a Mac?
Not yet. That's another thing that will come into place when we add the support to move to Maui. So probably in spring of 2022.
Nice. And it sounds like you are looking for help. Like it's on GitHub. So if people are interested, if this is a passion area of theirs, this could be a good way to get involved in open source and maybe get involved with the team.
Yeah, always looking for contributors.
Yeah, very exciting. Well, thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate you.
Thanks so much.
Cool. Thanks for having us.